What's going on, guys? We're back and we have a Preston Stewart video. You know, we're always on Preston's content, man. He makes some of the best stuff in the on the interwebs when it comes to war and conflict and stuff like that. So this says Russian analyst warns risk of Ukrainian breakthrough. And we've been hearing this more and more lately because of how Ukraine's been able to hit these more medium and deep strike. Their medium and deep strike capabilities have become so much more effective, where they're hitting not just 10, 20, 30, 40 kilometers into enemy territory, but we're talking hundreds, in some cases thousands of kilometers into Russia proper, not just Russian occupied Ukraine. So what we're seeing is Russia's diverting a lot of assets to other areas of their country, which in turn leaves some of the frontline areas vulnerable. So there's been a lot of talk about, is Ukraine going to, well, we already know there's been territory gained back by Ukraine, but is there going to be a more significant, like full scale push coming soon? And I don't know if that's what this talks about, but it kind of seemed like it. So let's watch it. Obviously, go check out Preston, you guys. He's my buddy, and if you ask him, I'm his best buddy. So let him know in his videos. Vegas says I'm his best friend. All right, let's go.
Now than we've seen in a long time, with some calling on thousands of
Completely forgot. Today is the last day of our fundraiser for John and Patrick's drone team. Help us hit that goal, 3,700. Once they hit that mark, they'll be able to get everything that is required to be basically stand up their drone unit and start becoming operational on the battlefield. So, and they're going to send us photos, videos of what they're buying with your guys' funds. There's been tons of support from you guys already, which makes me so grateful enough to tear up, but I won't do that to you guys. All right, let's go.
Reinforcements to be sent forward before they lose key terrain. As we've talked about countless times in recent weeks, this is all part of Ukraine's plan, and from what we can tell, it seems to be working. Isolate a portion of the battlefield with middle to long-range strikes, then methodically clear it. That's happening right now in Zaporizhia, and Russian analysts are noticing a negative trend for their forces. Now, stepping back, big picture here, this 2026 campaign.
Hold up, guys. Why is my quality on microwave mode? Let's turn that up to beast.
From what we can tell, is Ukraine has focused heavily on the destruction or suppression of Russian air defenses. Every one of those systems, every one of those radars that goes down opens up a new corridor for Ukrainian drones to fly through. And they are, every single day, striking Russian logistics, 1 to 200 kilometers from the front line. Over time, that has a significant impact on Russia's ability to maintain offensive operations at the front, which makes it easier to kill or capture the Russian soldiers that are forward, and very difficult to move reinforcements up to hold the line. That is what we're seeing right now in one specific area of the front. Turning to Russian media, Rybar talking about this, saying logistics problems are deeper than they seem. He said, quote, "The situation in Russia's southern regions is becoming increasingly threatening. Since early May, Ukrainian forces have significantly increased the number of drone strikes against vehicles transporting various goods to Kherson and Zaporizhia, as well as Crimea. There is a risk of shortages of certain goods on the peninsula, Crimean Peninsula, and fuel sales are already restricted. The threat is not only the disruption of the Crimean holiday season or the shortage of certain products. Strikes against cargo carriers on the peninsula directly impact the capabilities of the Russian armed forces on the southern fronts, where the situation is already precarious." Now, this is an area that's gotten a little bit of attention in recent weeks. We've started to see Ukrainian offensive operations, kind of localized counterattacks in the West Zaporizhia direction. Now, zooming into a deep state map here, what we're seeing, this red area all occupied by Russia right now, we've seen just in the last few weeks, every single day, new footage coming out showing Ukrainian deep strikes on logistics down in Mariupol, Berdansk, all the way down into Crimea. So what Ukraine is doing is kind of isolating this entire area, making it hard for Russia to continue logistics. And we saw it just a few days ago. Russia shut down a portion of the highway. They're constantly getting concerned. I mean, we had footage earlier today where there was just truck after truck after truck after truck that got blown up. So this isn't like a threat that Russia has to take into consideration. It is rapidly approaching the point of like a significant number of their military vehicles, military transports, are being destroyed well before they can get anywhere near the front. So this is the area Rybar's talking about. And then zooming in here to West Zaporizhia, the Stepnohorsk, Primorsky, Stepov area. This is where we've seen localized Ukrainian counterattacks recently. They are on the verge of retaking everything that Russia gained over the course of the last year. And there's some concern from Rybar that this could actually be a place that the Ukrainian armed forces could break out and push through the Russian lines. Personally, I think that's a bit doomer on the Russian side. I'm not sure that's to Ukraine's advantage right now. If they could, I'm not even sure that they would. That's a pretty significant risk. But nonetheless, interesting that we're seeing Russia get more and more concerned all of a sudden in the middle of 2026 that their lines might not be able to hold. Turning back to Rybar, they say the enemy has been attacking on the Kaminsky area for a long time and has managed to advance in several areas, pushing back Russian forces. Stepnohorsk and Plovny have been nearly lost, along with virtually all territorial gains made by the Russian armed forces during that offensive that began in early 2025. We've heard this from a number of Russian analysts at this point, talking about how the Ukrainian localized counterattacks are taking back everything that's been gained over the course of a year. Think about the losses that Russia would have sustained just trying to take this territory, and you blink, and in the matter of a couple weeks, it's all gone. We're hearing this from a number of Russian channels as well. Call sign Ositin, Russian mill blogger, on May 22nd, talking about the fighting here in the Stepnohorsk area, said, quote, "Hold on, brothers." And then he followed up a few days later on May 24th by saying, quote, "It's very hard for our soldiers there. There are too damn many Ukrainians. I still don't understand where they get so many people from. Our guys are repelling wave after wave, but they just keep coming and coming. I repeat again, if we don't get either drone operators or just thousands of drones there right now, it will be even harder for us in the future, and surrendering the city of Stepnohorsk would be a huge loss. It's time to solve this acute problem in this direction. The lack of drones, because several settlements before Stepnohorsk have already surrendered, and the news from there will not be good at this pace."
You know what I think about when I see areas like this that are on like a coastline is how much some serious naval assets could help either side, right? If Russia had some serious battleships or something over here and they're just laying waste into the Ukrainian territories with big old cannons, it would be a lot easier to move forward, and vice versa. If Ukrainians had some naval assets they were able to smash here, it would make their push to recapture some of their territory probably easier. But the risk of drones is so high that Russia's Black Sea fleet's been pretty much annihilated at this point by these unmanned aquatic drones like the Sea Baby that we've seen, which kind of looks like a souped up, like a futuristic canoe that they can just load with a ton of explosives because it's on water. It doesn't have to fly, right? You don't have to take into consideration the amount of weight that the propellers, the thrust of the propellers can hold. But on water, you can load up a lot more explosives. So we've seen the Ukrainians pretty much annihilate an entire fleet with some remote control boats. And it doesn't make it possible, really. And I don't know if this is even an area where you could get big like battle type ships into this area. But it just makes me think of it being this close to water, because I know the United States would be all up in here, right, just blasting away.
And we're seeing a number of very pro-Russian, Russian nationalist mill bloggers talk about the troubling direction that the war is going in. He's not the only one. We've got a couple more to get to here. Now, in talking about what comes next, this is where Rybar takes it from it's a difficult situation at the front to they might be looking at a Ukrainian breakthrough at some point in the near future. He says there's a risk that the enemy will not only restore the status quo, but launch an offensive along the Kaminsky-Sherbaki line. So essentially this entire area on the map here. He says, considering the Ukrainian forces have already partially destroyed the logistics of southern Russia and the land corridor to Crimea, it is not difficult to imagine what will happen if the Ukrainian armed forces manage to break the Russian forces' defenses along this line. The Russian army will have to deploy reinforcements along the route to Vasilivka, the roads which are already under significant attack. So that's coming up here from the south. 100%. Talk about the isolation of the battlefield. This is the main road moving up into this area. So yeah, this entire road is under heavy Ukrainian drone attack right now. Rybar says in the worst case scenario, stabilizing the situation will require the deployment of additional forces via routes such as Tokmak and the more distant Berdansk and Mariupol. Even the delivery of civilian cargo along these routes is already severely disrupted. So we are seeing, again, this three-phase plan carried out by Ukraine in 2026: destroy or degrade or suppress Russian air defense, opens lines in their coverage across the country. As those lines open up, more strikes deeper into Russian territory, making it harder for any of these logistics to move forward and provide troops, ammunition, food, water, batteries, any of these logistics to move forward and provide.
That's a fixed wing drone. You could kind of tell here.
Deeper into Russian territory, making it harder for any of these logistics to move.
I'm trying to catch
forward
it
and provide.
That's annoying. Okay, and I still can't get it. Sorry.
Provide troops, ammunition, food, water, batteries, anything. Harder and harder for Russia to hold on. And we're seeing now, I would expect to see some countermeasures put in place by Russia. We haven't really seen that quite yet. And the strikes, the deep strikes are taking a toll. We should look at this very similar to when HIMARS rolled out on the battlefield early in the war. Russia knew that was coming. They did not adapt, and they suffered some pretty significant losses over the course of probably 3 to 5 months, where there were near daily high-value targets getting hit by Ukrainian forces. Russia adapted. They found out ways to shoot down, new ways to shoot down the HIMARS. They moved a lot of their locations outside of HIMARS range, which was more doable then than it is now. These drones are flying significantly further than a traditional HIMARS Mike 3-1 rocket could. So they adapted. And that's why the HIMARS strikes have not been nearly as effective or frequent recently as they were at the beginning of the war. So we should expect Russian adaptation. It's just going to be a question of at what cost and how much does that impact the situation at the front. But again, we're seeing a number of Russian analysts and mill bloggers getting frustrated and angry with what they're seeing. Alex Parker Returns said, quote, "The scale of losses is already huge, but they continue to increase every month. All roadside areas are littered with burned trucks and military equipment. Thus, roads that were previously considered deep rear areas, that is 30 kilometers and further from Luhansk People's Republic, are losing more than 100 vehicles per week. By the autumn, this will lead to a total paralysis of all logistics from the Kharkiv region all the way down to Crimea, which is to make the continuation of military operations completely impossible. There is no countermeasures for this." Again, I think he and Rybar are a bit overly pessimistic, a bit kind of on the extreme end of the doomer scale right now. There are a lot of countermeasures available to stopping drones, from nets to mobile counter drone teams to additional electronic warfare jammers to all sorts of things could be done. It's a matter of, does Russia have the ability to surge those into some of these areas and defend the entirety of the occupied territories of southern Ukraine? To that end, probably not. But as we sit here today, we still really haven't seen any sort of response from Russia trying to mitigate the effects of these drones. The one that I heard the other day was try driving not at night and keeping the music to a minimum so you can hear the drones as they approach. That's probably not ideal. I mean, best case, the driver's getting out of there and the vehicle's still going up in flames. So anyways, this middle strike is a major issue for Russia. Every single day, we're seeing more and more Russian analysts, pro-Russian accounts, get frustrated with what they're seeing and the direction this is going. So this is going to be a big one to keep an eye on in 2026. Now, quick update on the fundraiser. We teamed up with Ukraine Aid Operations. Again, worked with them a number of times. Got to link up with them last time I was in Ukraine. Great organization, and it's a 501c3, so every one of your donations is fully tax deductible. We teamed up with them to provide a number of unmanned ground vehicles to various Ukrainian units. And we got some cool prizes or rewards here, I think. We've got, for $200, a pass from the 43rd Mechanized Brigade.
Dang, that is sick. The bull with the horns, dude. Damn. Oh, and this too. We've seen this one.
$400, a patch from the 43rd and the 36th Marine Brigade. $1,000 for a signed unit flag, and then $4,000 for this really unique metal figurine made from bullet casing. So we're well on our way, moving along on this one pretty fast because you all are incredible. Again, unmanned ground vehicles through Ukraine Aid Operations to a number of Ukrainian units fighting at the front. For those interested and able, that link will be in the description below. But that's all we got for now.
That's incredible, man. I mean, they stand up this fundraiser, not very long ago, and they're already almost at 35 grand, man. I mean, it can't be overstated how big of a deal, how much support that has for, or that gives these units. What was it? The 43rd Mech and 36th Marine Brigade. Huge, man. Very cool. Also, that dog. This is such a good idea. I've seen a couple things like this in the past, but less. I've seen like artwork made out of shrapnel from the battlefield, bullet casings, but this is like, whoa, that's really cool. I mean, they got a whole situation going on here. Guys carrying something, munitions loaded up here. I see a little purple AK down there. I don't know. It's really cool. Um, anyways, I do agree with
Up in
Preston's
this area.
sentiment about these pro-Russian accounts being maybe a little too doomer as far as Ukraine like pushing through and taking a massive swath of territory back, which it could be possible. It may be, but like Preston said, I don't know if that would be in their best interest because then they've got to hold all that new territory, redirect assets, stuff like that. So um, I don't know. It seems like what they're doing is working, and they just should keep killing it. I had somebody ask in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, make sure you jump into it. Link is in the description. But somebody in the Discord general chat yesterday asked if I think that, or what it would take for Putin to agree to any kind of a peace treaty, and or if he will ever come to the negotiation table for a peace treaty. And I said no. Putin's not going to stop unless he gets Kyiv or unless he's dead. I think this is pretty much at this point common knowledge, even though these big Western militaries include or governments, including the United States, seem to think that somehow they're going to be able to negotiate with Putler, but it's just not going to happen, man. It's kind of similar to, in my opinion, the IRGC in the sense that, well, they're both terrorists, but also they respect and respond one thing: strength and power. And until they start getting kicked in the face and in their mouth so hard that they can no longer function, I don't think, and even then, I doubt that they'll come to the negotiation table. Putin's got so much ego, so much pride in what he's doing, and he's in it too deep at this point. You can't backtrack. What are you going to tell your people? Yeah, we did this 3-day operation. It lasted 4.5 years, and we lost a pretty significant portion of the entire Russian male population. And X amount of assets, X amount of finances that have just gone into this, and the sanctions that used to be on Russian oil that Trump recently removed a couple of months ago. I don't know. He's just in too deep, dude. And he knows at this point, this is his legacy. What happens with this war is what will determine what people remember of Putin. Did he, conquer Ukraine for the people of Russia and the Russian Federation? Or did he get stomped out and everybody realized he was the terrorist that he is, and he goes down in infamy and in this shroud of humiliation, which is what it should be. And I don't know. So let me know what you guys think. Is there any single thing that can bring Putin to the negotiation table that will make him genuinely, that you think will make him genuinely consider a peace treaty with Ukraine? Anyways, please go check out Preston. Go check out all his awesome fundraisers he's got going on, man. They do really cool stuff over there. And we'll leave it at that. I love you. We'll see you in the next video.